much do we really know about the woman behind the glamour and mystique of the Trump White House? Melania Trump, known for her poise and mystery, has always been a figure of fascination. But behind the scenes, her life is far more complex than the public sees. This complexity was brought into sharp focus when Stephanie Winston Wolkoff. It painted a picture of loyalty, betrayal, and secrets, but was their friendship ever as genuine as it appeared? And what did Stephanie uncover during their years together? Let's dive into the story. It all began in the dazzling social circles of New York City in the early 2000s. Stephanie, a high-powered fashion and event planner with ties to Vogue and the Met Gala, crossed paths with Melania, a striking Slovenian model who had recently entered the orbit of real estate mogul Donald Trump. At first glance, yet their differences seemed to draw them closer. Stephanie later described their bond as inseparable. Their friendship deepened as Melania adjusted to her role as Donald's girlfriend, navigating life in the public eye. Stephanie became a trusted confidant, offering advice on everything from fashion to personal branding. For her part, Melania appreciated Stephanie's loyalty and discretion. When Melania married Donald in 2005, their connection only grew stronger. Stephanie was there, not just as a guest, but as someone who had shared in Melania's journey. As Melania transitioned into motherhood and Donald's ambitions grew, Stephanie remained by her side. She witnessed the private side of Melania, the sharp wit, the keen eye for detail, and a determination to shape her own identity in a world dominated by her husband. When Donald announced his candidacy for president in 2015, their relationship entered a new chapter. Stephanie wasn't just a friend anymore, she became a key advisor, helping Melania navigate the intense scrutiny of the campaign trail. Melania's reserved nature added to her allure, but it also left her vulnerable to misinterpretation. Critics often questioned her silence on the infamous Access Hollywood tape. Through it all, Stephanie stood by her, working tirelessly to ensure Melania's public appearances were polished and poised. By the time Donald won the 2016 election, both women were stepping into uncharted territory. For Melania, becoming First Lady was a role she had never sought, but now had to embrace. Stephanie, drawing on her expertise, helped Melania prepare for the challenges ahead. Together, they envisioned a modern, elegant First Lady akin to Jackie Kennedy. However, cracks in their friendship were beginning to show, even if The first major strain came during Donald's 2017 inauguration, an event Stephanie was tasked with planning. While the celebration was grand, controversies over its staggering $100 million budget cast a shadow. Allegations of financial mismanagement emerged, and Stephanie found herself under scrutiny. Despite her efforts to explain that much of the money had been paid to other vendors and not herself, her reputation took a hit. What hurt most was Melania's silence. Stephanie had expected her friend to defend her publicly, but Melania remained quiet. This marked the beginning of the end. Stephanie started to question everything about their friendship. Was Melania truly the loyal confidant she had believed, or had their relationship always been more transactional? The pressures of life in the White House only deepened the divide. Melania's preference for privacy clashed with the public demands of her role, and her strained interactions with Donald, like the infamous handshakes, added to the tension. Behind closed doors, Stephanie observed Melania's struggles. Her Be Best campaign, focused on children's welfare and online safety, faced criticism for its perceived lack of substance. Meanwhile, tensions within the Trump family further complicated matters. Melania's relationship with Ivanka Trump, who often encroached on First Lady duties, was marked by subtle rivalry. Stephanie found herself caught in the middle, trying to navigate the complex dynamics while remaining loyal to Melania. The inauguration scandal was the final straw. Investigators probed deeper into the event's finances, and Stephanie became an easy scapegoat. Melania's continued silence felt like a betrayal. For years, Stephanie had protected Melania's image. But now, as her own reputation crumbled, she realized no such protection would be extended to her. As their friendship unraveled, Stephanie began to see Melania differently. The woman she had admired for her elegance and strength now seemed distant, driven by self-preservation. The bond they once shared was replaced by suspicion and resentment. The story of Melania Trump and Stephanie Winston Wolkoff is one of ambition, power, and betrayal. It reveals how the pressures of fame and politics can strain even the closest relationships. For Stephanie, the fallout was deeply personal, leaving her with lingering questions about the woman she thought she knew. For Melania, the silence that granted her mistake became a minimal of the cracks in her carefully created pitch. Their friendship, once unshakable, was ultimately another casualty of the high-stakes world they inhabited. Stephanie Winston Wolkoff's role in planning the 2017 Trump inauguration and her eventual fallout with Melania Trump became one of the most controversial stories of the Trump White House. Questions about the lavish $100 million inaugural budget sparked suspicion from the start, leading to allegations of financial mismanagement. Stephanie, once a close confidant of Melania, found herself entangled in the scandal, caught in a web of accusations she believed were fueled by loyalty politics and a relentless media narrative. From the outset, Stephanie had been clear about her role. Her company acted as a pass-through entity for other vendors, and her personal earnings were far below the figures sensationalized in the media. Yet, as investigations into the event unfolded, she became a convenient scapegoat. The silence from family, a woman Stephanie had stood by canary for over a decade, was the most devastating. While Stephanie hoped for public support or even private acknowledgement, Melania's refusal to address the controversy hinted at a calculated move to protect her own image. By 2018, the relationship between Stephanie and Melania had all but disintegrated. What had once been a close bond marked by mutual trust and shared ambitions now seemed like a distant memory. Stephanie came to realize that their friendship might never have been as genuine as she had believed. The Trump administration's demand for unyielding loyalty often came at the expense of personal integrity, oppressiveness, a price Stephanie was no longer willing to pay. Determined to reclaim her narrative, Stephanie decided to write a memoir, Melania on Me. It wasn't a decision she took lightly. The Trump family's track record for handling criticism was infamously aggressive, and she knew that sharing her story would make her a target. But Stephanie saw the book as her chance to set the record straight and expose the dynamics that had defined her years with Melania. The book, released in 2020, became an instant sensation. Stephanie's revelations painted a complex portrait of Melania as a woman who was both detached and strategic, prioritizing self-preservation over loyalty. Secret recordings Stephanie made of her conversations with Melania added fuel to the fire. In one particularly infamous clip, Melania voiced a frustration of her public criticism of her holiday decorations, saying, "This unguarded moment shocked many, offering a rare glimpse behind Melania's polished exterior." Critics of the Trump administration embraced Stephanie's book as further evidence of dysfunction and detachment in the White House. Supporters of Melania, however, accused Stephanie of betrayal, questioning the ethics of secretly recording private conversations. The White House dismissed the book's claims as fabrications, accusing Stephanie of exaggerating her relationship with Melania for profit. Despite the backlash, Stephanie remained steadfast. She had anticipated the criticism and stood by the documentation she provided, viewing the book as an essential act of reclaiming the truth. Public reaction to Melania and Me was divided. For some, it validated their suspicions about the Trump White House and Melania's role within it. For others, it appeared opportunistic, a move to capitalize on Stephanie's insider status. Through it all, Melania maintained her characteristic silence, letting the controversy burn itself out. This silence, long a defining feature of her public persona, added to her mystique while raising questions about her complicity. The legal and media battles that followed the book's release further complicated Stephanie's life. The Department of Justice sued her, alleging she had violated a non-disclosure agreement by publishing the memoir. For Stephanie, the lawsuit was yet another attempt to silence her, but she saw it as proof of the Trump family's determination to control the narrative at all costs. Stephanie's revelations also shed light on the personal toll of life in the White House. She recounted the strain on Melania, who often seemed detached and reluctant to engage with her role as First Lady. Public moments of tension, such as swatting away Donald Trump's hands or her disinterest in public events, hinted at deeper frustrations. Stephanie also revealed the complex dynamic between Melania and Ivanka Trump, with subtle power struggles playing out behind the scenes. The book not only redefined public perception of Melania Trump, but also forced Stephanie to confront her own feeling about their friendship. Was it ever as authentic as she believed, or had it been a transactional relationship from the start? These questions haunted Stephanie as she navigated fallout from her decision By the end of Donald Trump's presidency, Melania and Ming had become a key part of the broader narrative about the Trump era. It offered a rare glimpse into the enigmatic First Lady's world, a mix of poise, detachment, and self-preservation. For Stephanie, the book was both a catharsis and a cautionary tale, exposing the price of loyalty in a world where power and image outweighed personal connection. As the chaos of 2020 unfolded, Stephanie reflected on the years she had spent by Melania's side. The memories were bittersweet, moments of genuine connection overshadowed by the pain of betrayal. Even as she moved forward, Stephanie knew her time with Melania would remain a defining chapter of her life, one filled with lessons about trust, loyalty, and the cost of proximity to power. The untold journey of Stephanie and Melania. Stephanie Winston Wolkoff's world changed forever when she decided to tell her story. After years of working closely with Melania Trump as a trusted advisor and confidant, she found herself in the center of a whirlwind of controversy. Her experiences, revelations, and the aftermath of their friendship's collapse became a focal point for discussions about loyalty, power, and betrayal. The legal battle that followed Stephanie's memoir, Melania and Me, was both shocking and unprecedented. The Trump administration sued her for breaching a non-disclosure agreement, NDA, claiming she had revealed confidential details of her work with the First Lady. To Stephanie, the lawsuit was nothing more than an attempt to silence her, to discredit her experiences, and to protect an image that was carefully crafted but deeply flawed. Stephanie's legal team countered the claims, arguing the NDA wasn't enforceable because it wasn't signed by a government official. Moreover, they maintained it violated her constitutional right to free speech. The case quickly became a public spectacle, raising concerns about whether the government was overstepping its bounds if it suppressed unflattering. Despite the stress, Stephanie stood her ground. She appeared on talk shows, calmly explaining her perspective. "This lawsuit is baseless," she declared. "It's a misuse of the Justice Department to intimidate a private citizen." Her courage resonated with many, viewing her as a whistleblower standing up to the powerful. Melania Trump, however, stayed silent. She carried on with her First Lady duties, attending events and promoting her Be Best campaign. But her public presence grew increasingly sparse. Observers noticed how distant the East Wing had become, reflecting the turmoil within. In January 2021, as the Trump presidency ended, the Department of Justice quietly dropped the lawsuit against Stephanie. No explanation was given, but many believed the new administration wanted to avoid the controversy. For Stephanie, the dismissal felt like a small victory, a validation of her truth. Stephanie's perspective on Melania's departure. After leaving the White House, Melania appeared to retreat into a life of privacy. On Inauguration Day, she exited the residence in solemn black, skipping the traditional photo op with her successor. Stephanie saw this as a final act of defiance, a refusal to participate in the rituals of a peaceful transition. So the ideal day, can you really get consolidated tattoos you have to work on? Her celebratory activities knew further that Nimis could impart that she treats everyone equal. This ability to detach had always been part of Melania's public image. From her days as a model to her role as First Lady, she exuded elegance and mystery. For some, this made her captivating. For others, it made her seem cold and distant. Life after the White House. While Donald Trump remained in the spotlight, hinting at political comebacks, Melania largely avoided public life. Reports suggested her focus was on her son Barron and their new life in Florida. Speculation about her marriage and future plans swirled, but Melania remained characteristically silent. Stephanie, on the other hand, embraced her new role as a commentator and advocate for transparency. She participated in discussions about ethics in government and the importance of whistleblowing, using her platform to shed light on the darker side of politics. The complex legacy. The fallout from their friendship highlighted universal themes of trust, betrayal, and the cost of power. Stephanie often reflected on whether she ever truly knew Melania. "She's an enigma by design," Stephanie admitted. "She doesn't let anyone fully in." For Melania, silence became her shield. Rarely offering explanations or rebuttals, she allowed the public to interpret her actions as they wished. Some saw her as a private individual trapped in an unwanted spotlight. Others criticized her for complicity in her husband's administration. Moving forward, Stephanie found purpose in sharing her experiences, turning pain into advocacy. Meanwhile, Melania's retreat added to her seat, keeping her a subject of fascination despite their separate paths. Their stories remained intertwined, a reflection of how relationships can be tested and reshaped by ambition and power. For Stephanie, speaking out brought closure and a sense of empowerment. For Melania, it seemed the choice to remain silent offered control over her narrative. Their fractured friendship served as a poignant reminder of how trust and ambition can collide, leaving behind echoes of what once was.